Siamna Siaya, and WRP Kwulasultun Tanitsanat Snedemo. Haitsip Konzalopska Kipa Tanakwel. Hello everyone, my traditional name is Kwulasultun. My name is Eliot White-Hill. I'm from the Snedemo First Nation. It's a real honor to be performing here at the White Room. I really appreciate that they've asked me to do that, and I also want to recognize the land that we're on here as the Snedemo village site of Kwulasultun, which is really significant for us. It's where the Douglas Treaty was signed, and it's where the Kwulasultun people lived. So it's really special for me to be reading the story here, and I also want to sing a prayer song for everyone, just to acknowledge all the work that we've all done in staying apart and coming together as a community by staying apart. That's really important, and I think we've all done a really good job. So yeah, this is a song that my great-grandma taught me. So that was a prayer song that's really old from Snedemo. I just wanted to sing that to acknowledge everyone. And yeah, Aichka, Haitsepka, thank you all. So I'm going to be reading a story now that I think is quite fitting actually for the times that we're in. It's very much about solitude, and it's very much about being alone and stuck. And it's also about how there's healing in that. There's healing that we can find in solitude. I think a lot about our Coast Salish traditions and spirituality and the way that we see the world. And a lot of your really important teachings and encounters would take place while you were in solitude. And that a lot of what my great-grandma would talk about was how it's about opening yourself to that energy and connecting yourself. And when you do that, you find that there's help there, and it's always going to be there for you once you open yourself to it. But that doesn't mean that it's easy being alone or in isolation. It's really difficult, and it's important to recognize that. So this story is called Waves Crashing Upon the Shore. It's in Rebel Mountain Press's In Our Own Aboriginal Voice 2, a collection of Indigenous authors and artists in Canada, which was just published in December. The waves crashed upon the shore, over and over again, the same rhythmic pattern that followed the ebb and flow of the tide, a movement that has always repeated itself and always will. As the waves flowed in, they would talk to each other. "Where is everyone?" they asked. "They aren't here yet," they answered. "They will be here, though." Living things were not yet inhabiting the world, but the waves knew they were on their way. The waves were excited because of this. The sand on the beach was excited too, as well as the winds, and also the beings who would join them from the spiritual realm beyond the horizon. The world was busy, and in this place, there was much work to do. "There is going to be so much hurt," the sand said to the sea, "and it won't go away so easily," the wind chimed in. "That is why we help, to cleanse the wounds, both material and immaterial, together," the sea responded. "Ho, ho," called the beings beyond the horizon. "Ho, ho," the world responded. "Ho, ho," called the waves, crashing upon the shore. It had been decided that this place, where the three physical worlds met with the spiritual, would be a place of cleansing, a place of movement, out and away from the state of being hurt. I sat at my usual table in the cafe. I had already ordered my coffee, and the owner, without a word, delivered it to my table. A quick nod was the only acknowledgement necessary. I had never shared more than a few words with him. I don't think anyone had. He was a solemn, middle-aged man whose presence within the cafe was indistinguishable from that of the clock or the mugs lining the shelves. It seemed to me that this person did not exist in any place but within the confines of this cafe. It was a very average cafe, situated within a commercial development along the waterfront that had appeared at some point within the past half-century. It was quiet inside, for the owner did not play any sort of music. The steady whir and grinding of the machines and their operator often dominated the auditory stage of the place, but in the lulls, one could hear the sound of waves crashing upon the shore, coming from just outside. I came here every day. I had long since lost track of how many weeks or months it had been. It was part of my routine, my ritual. Every day, between the hours of 2 and 6, this was where I existed. And my presence within this cafe was broken only by short moments wherein I stepped outside to smoke a cigarette, which I did precisely 4 times each day. Aside from those breaks, I was invariably sitting at my table with my headphones in, blaring music, pouring over the internet from my laptop. Any sort of social interaction I could possibly need was at arm's reach from this position. Through my patronage to this cafe, I fulfilled my necessary social role and obligations. Through it, I served my purpose as a cog within both the social and economic machines. Today was different. I was aware of it from the moment I entered the cafe. It were as though the proportions of the space had misaligned. The ceiling too high, the floor too low. The lights shone piercingly. The windows seemed like gaping holes in the walls. The seat creaked. The tablecloth stuck to my arms. And something had come loose inside one of the coffee machines, and it clanked violently. This space was not the cafe I knew. Empirically, this was certainly the same place where I had spent each day, but the phenomena portrayed something entirely different. Something had come loose within the cafe, exposing those within to the elements. The sun had yet to rise. The sky was a deep, dark blue. A group of people walked down the beach. They walked solemnly. They did not speak amongst themselves, but silently their thoughts called out to each other. It is time. Will we be forgiven? We have taken too much from the world. Our attachment to this place has caused great harm. A mist had begun to form, and the dim outlines of the stars were visible through it. The birds were not yet awake. The only sound was that of the waves crashing upon the shore. When the people reached the water, the eldest among them instructed the rest on what to do. One by one, they disrobed and waded into the water, always facing forward, never looking back. They bathed themselves, wading deep into the ocean before receding towards the shore, washing their bodies all the while. They repeated this process 3 more times before leaving the water. Once each had completed the act, they gathered and sat in the sand. The salty water dried quickly upon their skin. The eldest stood, addressing the world. We have come here seeking forgiveness, seeking cleansing, seeking the help to find strength within ourselves to begin our journey away from this place. The eldest paused, preparing. We have strayed far from the path of our ancestors. We have overstayed our welcome here. Our presence and attachment here for so long led to us taking more than necessary. This has caused great harm and pain to the world around us, to the natural beings. We recognize this and are ashamed. We come begging forgiveness. We hope to return things to the way they are meant to be, the way that it has been for generations innumerable. The rest of them stood alongside the eldest, and together they waited. A long time passed. To the people, it felt like many, many hours, perhaps even days had gone by, but the sun still had yet to rise. A voice came bubbling up through the sand. It entered each of them through their feet, went up past their legs, and settled itself somewhere within the very core of their beings. Thank you, it said. The water, the sand, the winds, and all of the beings spoke as one. Thank you for sharing your bodily energies with us. Thank you for remembering the way to open yourselves, passed down through your teachings. Thank you for being humble and aware. I am proud of you for that, my grandchildren. The voice turned grave. You have indeed caused great harm to the world. The smaller beings, whom you have preyed upon in excess, are diminished. They have left this place to rejuvenate themselves. You took more than you needed. You stayed when you should have gone. You became stuck, deeply stuck. The beings in the world are hurting because of you. They are not angry, rather they are sad that you have become this way. The people listened silently. You shall be forgiven, but you must leave this place and linger no longer. I will help bring you to the next place. You will not be able to return here, not for a very long time. The people felt the presence dissipate. They said nothing, but raised their arms in gratitude and acknowledgement. The sun peeked its face over the mountains. It is time, they said. They left the beach, returning to their home. When they got there, they disassembled the house. They dug up the house posts and burned them. By the time the 4 posts had turned from ember to ash, the people were gone. Ho ho, called the ashes in the pit. Ho ho, called the people from beyond the horizon. Ho ho, called the waves crashing upon the shore. I put my headphones on, trying to block out what was happening to the world around me. The music droned louder, and my brow furrowed as my eyes attempted to burn a hole through the laptop screen. I looked desperately to the coffee cup for answers. It looked back at me, but had none. Finally, I stood and stormed out the door, lighting a cigarette in the process. I went to the railing overlooking the water and hung my arms upon it. The waves were overwhelming. They rolled in tumultuously, unending. They were looking at me, judging me, with a million eyes in the foam. I glared back, trying to understand their voice that sang out against the shore. "Excuse me," said a voice. I dropped my cigarette, looking about, confused. Your phone is ringing. It was the owner, standing at the open door. I stepped back inside and checked my phone. A missed call notification appeared. It was from a 1-800 number, likely some telemarketer. I sat down, took a deep breath, and put my headphones back on. Everything was back to normal. The waves outside continued crashing upon the shore. Ho ho, they called, but it fell upon deaf ears. What of those who cannot hear our voice, those who are unable to ask for help? We cannot force them to ask, to come looking. We can only be present. We must wait until they are ready. Ho ho. Hey, hi. That's the end of the story. Yeah, so thank you for listening. Thanks again to the White Room. I've really enjoyed a lot of concerts here. It's a really special place to me. So thank you for inviting me here.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.